Good evening. I'd like to call the March 1st, 2021 Wilson School Board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Casper?
Here.
Dr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mrs. Cocker?
Here.
Mr. Martin? Mr. McCray?
Here.
Mr. Negrini?
Here.
Mr. Schneider?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Please stand for the pledge of the flag. Mrs. Carroll, do we have any public participation on agenda items?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Maravich, would you like to say anything?
Anything on non-agenda items? No. Then I would defer to not saying anything.
Okay. Tonight we have a presentation on Voice Up Berks. Mrs. Troutman, if you'd like to do the introduction, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. I think we're in for a real treat to open our meeting tonight. I'm very, very excited to introduce representatives from Voice Up Berks, which is the local affiliate of the Youth Volunteer Corps. So joining us tonight to present how this organization is serving our students as well as the local community are Christy Tarafenko, who's the executive director, and she's accompanied by our own Wilson students, Maddie Freitas, Jada Garber, and Athena Worley. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to everyone who's with us this evening.
Hi, this is strange talking through a mask and a microphone. So thank you so much for having us come to here tonight to talk to you about Voice Up Berks. It's a local organization that runs Youth Volunteer Corps of Reading programming. For those who are not familiar, Youth Volunteer Corps is a national organization. There are 30 affiliates around the United States and Canada, and the mission is really to engage youth, typically from 11 to 18 years of age, in service projects that fill community needs, as well as inspire youth to a lifetime commitment to service. What's great about Youth Volunteer Corps is that it's evidence-based. It has been shown to increase participants' 21st century skills like working in a group, public speaking, valuing diversity, as well as increasing leadership skills and community stewardship skills. What's also great about Youth Volunteer Corps is that it's youth-driven and youth-led. So we work with students on identifying issues that they are passionate about and then helping them develop projects within those issue areas to affect change. A great example of this, which Jada will talk about, is our STAR program, which we launched in the summer, and it has really led to STAR groups, Stand Together Against Racism groups, in several high schools around Berks County. So I'm very excited to have 3 of our students who are heavily involved this year in Youth Volunteer Corps talk about 3 of our projects. Jada's going to go first because she's got to skip out. She has practice, but she is going to talk to you about our Stand Together Against Racism, how that project developed throughout the summer and where it's headed. Maddie Freitas has been on our youth advisory board now. This is her first year, so she's going to talk to you about that. And then Athena Worley will talk to you about Cancer Structure. This will be her 3rd year in this really exciting STEM hunger fighting youth project that we have going on every year. So Jada, if you want to come on up.
Hi, I'm Jada Garber. I'm a co-founder of STAR, which stands for Standing Together Against Racism. We started out small, meeting weekly with a group of Berks County students, discussing the racism happening in our community and throughout the country, meetings with police officers, hearing stories from students of color, and so much more. But we didn't want to stop there. We wanted to keep it growing. So we brought ourselves to Wilson, and now Maddie and I run monthly meetings to educate ourselves, students, and staff at Wilson. Not only this, but we have expanded it through other schools as well, including Exeter and Wyomissing. And we've just found out that STAR will actually be going nationally and having meetings all throughout the country, which is very exciting. In addition, we have a website and a pledge that has 450 signatures and reached other countries. And STAR has snowballed into a bunch of projects. We've installed an art installation, and we are now hoping to create a podcast and teach the younger generation about racism. So we hope to keep spreading our mission and make one small change at a time.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Is this right? Am I good? My name is Maddie Freitas. I'm the representative from the Youth Advisory Board with Voice Up Berks, and I'm a junior. So before I was accepted onto the board, I really knew nothing about Youth Volunteer Corps. But through a family friend, I applied and interviewed for the position, and now I serve with about 30 other kids from 10 different schools on this board. And starting out the year, we learned about different issue areas around our community, including hunger. We went to the food bank, environmental education, learning about what our environment needs from us right now. We went to Rock Hollow Woods. We had virtual education sessions with mental health professionals, and along with that, we also had another virtual session about systemic racism. And lastly, we went to City Park to clean up the memorials for veterans there, to learn about how sometimes veterans are under-recognized in our community and all that they have done for us. So moving forward, after learning about all those issue areas, we voted on which one we wanted to pursue. We voted for racial injustice, and with that, we are developing our own project in our community, like Christy said, and we also steward grant funds. We have $15,000 to give out to organizations around the community that share the common goal with us in fighting racial injustice. We just finished up our reviewing the grant applications, and I learned a lot from that. I never read a grant application before. I learned how to read a budget, what the red flags look like, how we don't want to give $10,000 to miscellaneous funds. We learned what measurable goals look like, that their goals should be specific, and also that we want to see that they're partnering with other organizations so that our money can be have a lasting impact, because this is something we're passionate about and we want it to keep going. So we narrowed down our grant applicants to our top 4. Right now we are conducting site visits to learn more about what they want to do with our funds, with our grant that we would give them. And yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. Then moving forward, we have our own project that we, as the teens, are creating. We want to install a mural somewhere in Berks County and also host sit-ins in Berks County. And also we have a goal to spread them through other YVC affiliates. Like Christy said, how it is a national organization. We have a goal to have 5 different sit-ins across the country to spread our mission of fighting racial injustice. I've learned that I like to work with people, I want to help my community, I like to lead others, and I want to keep working for justice. Despite COVID, YVC has been one of the main constant positive reinforcements in my life this year and also in 2020. And it's been pretty impactful. And I honestly don't know where I would be without Christy and YVC. So that's my piece on Youth Advisory Board. And thank you so much for hearing what we do.
Thank you.
Gotta bring it down here for myself. Hello, I'm Athena Worley, a 6th grade student who attends Wilson West. This is my 3rd year leading the Hunger Fighters through Youth Volunteer Corps of Reading, Can Structure's project. I became involved with Youth Volunteer Corps of Reading because I wanted to help others. Youth Volunteer Corps have provided me and many others the opportunity to learn and grow as a community member. Can Structure is personally one of my favorite projects that they offer. Can Structure is a building competition focused on teaching STEM concepts, raising food and community awareness of food insecurity. Other skills such as leadership, communication, marketing, and teamwork are also supported through this project. The most rewarding part of Can Structure is seeing a vision grow into a physical structure of canned food, which is also donated to Helping Harvest Food Bank. Our team has raised over 2.5 tons of food in the last 2 years. We have also grown from a community team of 12 to a team of 34 this year. Our team is made up of elementary and middle school kids. We hope to make an even bigger impact on our community this year because food insecurity is at its highest due to the pandemic. I hope you consider opening the door to help me spread awareness and grow our team of 34 to a Wilson-wide student participation opportunity, and we could accomplish this by supporting a district-wide canned food drive and also by giving Youth Volunteer Corps of Reading the opportunity to share their programs with all students to our district. Thank you for your time, and I would like to say thank you to Ms. Tarafinko for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have an overall question for the group at Wilson. How many Wilson students do you have participating in Voice Up Berks?
So last year through the pandemic, we actually grew quite a bit. We engaged 562 students in 5,900 hours of service, representing 18 school districts, and Wilson was the fourth highest school district that were involved. I believe there were 60 Wilson students overall last year. This year, we have a lot of participation, especially with the STAR group and the anti-racism work that we've been doing. So I hope that helps.
Thank you.
And I would like to say, thank you. Wilson has been the most receptive school district to work with on racism projects. It has been delightful. So thank you for your support of the students and their desire to make change. And they feel that support coming from the school district, and that is just not something that we see across the board with all the school districts with whom we work with the kids. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for all you're doing. Any other questions?
I just want to say that I have seen these young ladies in action personally in our Zoom sessions, and it's incredible to watch them in terms of their leadership with the group and their insights and their ability to really kind of critically look at their local environment in so many different ways. And then the work that you guys do with them in just kind of facilitating all of these events and really sort of coaching them through, learning everything she said about applying for government grants. I can just imagine, I know what that's like. So, so it's great that they're getting the guidance and that they feel that they're supported as well through your organization. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for that. And you should know that the Wilson students are part of a team that are leading the national conversations on race. Maddie and Jada both have worked with a school in Hampton Roads, Virginia, and they are the discussion leaders with groups of youth in Virginia. They have also signed up to be part of the team that leads the discussion with a group from Kansas City and others around the country. So their exposure to national leadership opportunities and their willingness to take that on has been exceptional, and they just do a fantastic job. So, no. Individual contributions, corporate sponsors, some grants, 50%.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Faley, 6th, 12th grade instructional delivery presentation.
Presentation. Dr. Trick is going to come and talk to us about the 6th through 12th grade instructional delivery model and the conversations that we've been having regarding.
You bet, absolutely. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here before you today and for the community members who are participating. Before we jump into 1.7, just want to take a minute to, again, recognize Maddie, Jada, and Athena, and thank Christy. We talk a lot as a district about pushing our staff and our students beyond just the academic readiness indicators that we have. And I think all three of the young ladies that were here tonight really showcased how exceptional our school district is in our community. And the things that they spoke to are really a lot of those life and career-ready skills that unfortunately aren't often measured in a school district. So I'm sure you're equally as proud of all of them as we are. It's really nice to start a meeting like that and have that sense of hope and pride in our school and our community. So with that, I transition into this conversation around our 6th to 12th grade instructional model and really focusing on specifically how often or how much the percentage of time that we're able to get students into our school buildings. And really, it's just our current best thinking. Things are evolving. Things are changing literally every day. Today, I believe, literally afternoon, after 12 o'clock, we had 3 updates that came across Dr. Faley's desk, some of which, I think the most recent of which, at 5:30, with regards to some pieces that may possibly implement or affect our health and safety plan. So it's a constantly moving target. The term pivot came out early in the summer. We're far from that term. So we also want to take the opportunity to thank our community. Everywhere we go as board members, as district employees, community members, people stop and ask, what do you think about this? Are we able to consider this? What is the work being done in the district regarding, the possibility of bringing kids back more? Also, there's a national narrative. There's a local narrative on how do we do this? What does it look like? And I want to remind everyone, and especially our community, that we've been doing it. And as a district, we're very proud of the fact that we've had our students, all of our students who have selected to be here, families who have selected to have their students in person since the opening of school. We've created pathways and opportunities for children and families to have choices with whatever option they would like, a blended option, a fully remote option, a fully virtual option, a fully in-person option for K-5 students. And our plan was solid. Our plan was solid because we engaged our community, we engaged physicians, we engaged our teachers, administrators, this board, and we brought forth what I believe was a model plan back in the end of the summer. And a lot of those challenges that we had in the summer are still here today. Thankfully, we were able to vaccinate folks at a much higher rate, and there are some potential implications to vaccines, maybe in the very near future, for some of the folks within our school district, and we're hopeful that takes place. We're still wearing masks, and our students, our staff have done an exceptional job following those expectations, keeping students, keeping each other safe, keeping their teachers safe. And we have and still are maintaining 6 feet of physical distancing in our school buildings. So specifically, when we look at our health and safety plan, that's the piece we need to unpack. We need to look at 6 feet of physical distancing, and can we change that particular piece within our plan? And there's lots of pieces that govern that. We have the CDC, we have the Pennsylvania Department of Health, we have Pennsylvania Department of Education, we have our local health and safety team that we assembled this summer, which again is made up of physicians. And right now, that guidance has not shifted. It is still 6 feet. That is still the recommendation to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, not only in our school system, but even outside. We've looked at all options. As a secondary team of leaders, we've analyzed every schedule. We've looked at our numbers in Southern Middle School, which is our largest class sizes currently to date. We looked at how they're similar or different at West. We looked at the high school, knowing that the instructional mode is a little bit different because it's blended. We have students in every class that are virtual. We have students who are in person. However, there are still challenges. We have 60 sections alone in one grade at Southern Middle School and 58 at West, that if we moved all of our students back, we would not be able to maintain 6 feet of physical distance. And that's just one grade at both schools. We've discussed what it would look like if we changed our flex day rotation. What if we went in the fourth marking period to an AB-AB rotation and eliminated the Wednesday flex day? What benefits would that bring? What challenges would it present? What ripples would we maybe not feel until the third or fourth week in? And we've relied very heavily on our principals, our leaders, the people who are in the buildings making these decisions, working with the staff, working with the community, working with the teachers on a daily basis. And at this point, I'm here to recommend or to inform the board that we are continuing in our current mode of instruction. With that being said, again, things are changing rapidly. And if something comes to us tonight, tomorrow morning, or a month from now, we will attack it with the same energy that we've attacked our plan from day one. But from this point, until we come back to this group, we just want to continue to let you know we're working, community, we're listening, we hear your concerns, and we will, if it's appropriate, come back to the board and to the community with a plan if anything changes. Turn it over to Dr. Faley.
And I'll just add, Dr. Trickett alluded to a meeting today. There's information that came out of the governor's office regarding changes to the internal and external capacity rules, conversation in my superintendent meeting with the other Berks County superintendents in relation to the potential and some decisions that are going to be voted on tomorrow at the state level in regards to vaccinations for educators. And until that decision is finalized, I can't go into the details of it, but that would be a game changer in terms of the access to the vaccine. And we have been, it has been shared with us that based on that, there may be some additional guidance coming from the state in reference to that. So Dr. Trickett has shared that we would come back to the board pending any changes in that guidance and have a conversation. We would re-engage our health and safety committee that has, helped us to assemble this plan that has created an opportunity for our K-5 students to be educated in person since August, and it's created the opportunity for our secondary students to have in-person instruction, albeit it's not 5 days a week, since August. And part of that national conversation about returning to in-person learning is really focused on those school systems that haven't been in person since August. Many school districts across the Commonwealth and many school districts across the nation, students haven't been in school since last March. So I really want to focus, as Dr. Trickett has done, in the tremendous job that our school district has done. And it's a combination of effort. It's putting everyone in the room, and it's coming up with a plan that meets the needs of our individual community. Should we get different guidance, we'll do the same. We'll get the right people in the room to come up with a recommendation moving forward. But ultimately, we need to continue to ensure the safety of our students and staff. Dr. Trickett and I were talking earlier today. We've really done this with 2 school closures at the secondary level, short-term closures, and that's tremendous because I will tell you, and maybe other educators who are in different systems can speak to, once you move from 6 feet, within 6 feet, and you move to 3, then there's a whole set of different paradigms that have to be experienced, and a lot of that has to do with who has to be quarantined, et cetera, when you have a positive in the classroom environment. And I'm just really glad, and I think we're fortunate that our plan has worked, and it's done a very good job of keeping kids safe. Our kids have participated in extracurriculars. They've worn their masks. They've done what they're supposed to do, and we've all benefited from it. So more to come on what happens at the state level, and I'll keep you informed as soon as I know.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody on the board and administration has received feedback and comments from community members, parents. The hybrid instruction works for some children, and it has been a challenge for others. We've been fortunate in that we've had very limited school closures. We've had limited experiences with positives throughout our buildings. So from a standpoint of keeping our students and staff physically safe, we've been successful. The balance and the challenge has been the emotional well-being of students and how some students are challenged with the type of learning that has taken place this year. And I think it is becoming more and more of a concern of parents that are seeing their children dealing with emotional issues, that there are certainly children and adults that need that constant interaction with people from a physical standpoint, not a virtual standpoint. And only time will tell from an education standpoint for our students' performances from year to year, and how that may have put some students in a position that they have struggled. So we are hearing parents. I had an email today from a parent with two students, two different children, just like in my home, in terms of being an extrovert versus an introvert, and how one has been able to be more successful than the other just based upon their personality. But it hasn't been without discussion. I hope the community understands that, not only from our administrators, but from members of this board, many of who have children in the buildings every day, that we want what's best for our children, and the struggle of the quote-unquote doing what is the right thing, because there are many different versions of what is considered to be the right thing. So I do want to share from a parent's perspective the concerns that everyone else has shared with me, and I do want to express my appreciation to everybody in the administration as we continue to work towards this very challenging time that we have been working through. And it is not as if the district is simply doing nothing and not reevaluating on a regular basis. I think that sometimes the message that people believe is being communicated is that we are simply just content with where things are at. We are constantly reevaluating what is best in balancing this challenging time. So we hear you parents, we appreciate the feedback and comments, and we will continue to try to meet all of our students' needs in this difficult time. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Under approval of minutes, looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the school board meeting that was held on February 16th, 2021 as attached. Looking for a motion? Yes.
Executive session.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We had an executive session this evening to talk about personnel issues. Thank you, Mr. Cocker. Now looking for a motion to approve the board minutes from school board meeting held on February 16th, 2021 as attached. Mr. McCray first. Do you have a second? Mr. Schneider, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Payment of the bills. Mr. Negrini, are you giving the report tonight?
Make a motion for the payment of bills from the general fund in the amount of $549,990.70 as attached.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, please.
Mr. Case, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Fadley.
Thank you, President Hart. I present this evening the personnel and program recommendations.
Looking for a motion to approve items 4.1 through 4.6 as presented. Mr. Case first. Do we have a second? Mrs. Cocker, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Human Resources, 5.1, request to approve the MOU between the Wilson School District and the WEA to amend the extracurricular salary schedule for esports. 5.2, request to approve the employees for specialized leave under the FFCRA to ensure PSER's years of credit is maintained. 5.3, request to approve the support staff new hourly rates effective January 1st, 2021 as attached. Looking for a motion to approve items 5.1 to 5.3 as presented. Mrs. Cocker first. Do we have a second? Mr. Schneider. In discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
6.1, looking to approve the updated 2020-2021 school calendar. Class of 2021 graduation to be held on Friday, June 4th, 2021, with a rain date of Saturday, June 5th, 2021 as attached. 6.2, request approval of the 2021-2022 school board meeting dates. 6.3, request to approve to set the class of 2022 graduation date for Friday, June 3rd, 2022, with a rain date of Saturday, June 4th, 2022. 6.4, request permission to enter into an agreement with the Reading Behavioral Health Center Incorporated to provide outpatient psychological and psychiatric services. 6.5, request approval for membership into the PCIU Berks County Safety and Security Consortium for the 2021-22 school year. Looking for a motion to approve items under Student Services 6.1 through 6.5 as presented. Mrs. Casper first. Do we have a second? Mr. McCray, any discussion? Yes.
So if I'm reading 6.3 correctly, it would be the recommendation of administration to continue with the type of graduation ceremony plan that we are implementing this year and what we had implemented in the past. Is that correct? Since it is a rain date and an outside venue.
Yeah, so yes, at this point, it's just to preserve the date. It's not foreshadowing what type of ceremony that would be. We would go through this year's ceremony, get feedback from our community, our students, and then make a decision from that point. So at this point, it's just basically getting the permission from the board that that will be the date of graduation. Whether it's here or whether it's off-site is yet to be determined.
Okay, thank you.
And that is the final day of the school year as well in the 2022 school year.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? We have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Operations, 7.1, request approval to contract with International Fireworks Manufacturing for $8,000 as recommended by the Graduation Committee. 7.2, request to approve a contract with Choice Live for two 8 feet by 15-foot mobile LED screens for the Wilson class of 2021 graduation in the amount of $11,322.40. 7.3, Request approval of the contract with GPRS Incorporated to search for underground utilities pending solicitor review and approval. 7.4, looking for motion to approve items 7.1 through 7.3 as presented. Mr. Negrini first. Do we have a second?
Case second.
Mr. Case, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Transportation, 8.1, request permission to, I lost my mic. Request permission to purchase a VCM3 Ford diagnostic tool for propane vehicles and vans from the Ford VCM3 IDs. Looking for a motion? Mrs. Cocker first. Do you have a second? Mr. Negrini, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Miscellaneous, 9.1, request to approve an addendum to our contract with Fulcrum Management Solutions Incorporated for a Leader Room subscription to the Thought Exchange online platform in the amount of $12,000. Looking for a motion? Mr. Schneider first. Do you have a second? Mrs. Casper, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. I'm sorry, not Mr. Martin. Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
And Mr. Hart?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Committees, Berks Career and Technology Center, Mrs. Casper.
We met on Wednesday, February 24th at the West Campus and via Zoom. Dr. Kraft officially announced his retirement for the end of this school year, which will be some tough shoes to fill moving forward, and he will be missed. We spent a lot of time talking about recruitment, and I learned a lot about what it entails for both of the campuses. Also, some of the ideal enrollment numbers per program at BCTC was shared with us. It wasn't specific to school district, but I noticed that of all the categories of occupations, that the healthcare occupations seemed to be the one that stayed the most consistent in the past years in terms of enrollment, even considering the COVID circumstances with enrollment numbers compared to previous years. So this kind of made me wonder how we're recruiting our students into the specific programs. And I thought in terms of how we're recruiting students into the healthcare program versus some of the other programs. So I'm just kind of wondering, I know we were talking a lot about different types of recruitment strategies. So I'm just wondering how much of our recruitment here goes into the earlier grades, as well as are we just allowing students to select based on what their interests are, or can we be exposing them more strategically to some of these other sort of fringe occupations that they're not really showing a lot of interest in, something beyond a lot of the STEM types of careers as well. So I still have some general concerns about the number of students from our district with IEPs who enroll in their programs, and of course the general sort of challenge of combating the general stigma around CTC schools being only for, not being for college-bound students. So on a good note, that takes me to the real treat of recognizing our Wilson students at BCTC who received honors in this last grading period. So at the West Campus, we have Carly Clevenstein for advertising, art, and design technology, Liam Hartman for automotive technology, Gavin Jacobs for computerized machining technology, Sarah Orender for cosmetology, Jennifer Pagado for cosmetology, Elizabeth Monroe for culinary arts, Jenna Myers for health occupations 3, Bailey Nicholas for photo imaging technology, and at the East Campus, we have Carrie Hunsinger for protective services homeland security. So I want to congratulate all those on their academic success this last grading period. Our next meeting is Wednesday, March 24th at the East Campus, and that's my report.
Thank you. Wilson Equity Task Force, Mrs. Casper.
Yes, on that meeting, we met on Wednesday, February 17th at the high school library. It was a really lively discussion that day. In terms of, we were actually introduced to, at first, a program that was offered recently to our secondary students called No Place for Hate, which was a 45-minute virtual assembly where our students got to listen to a facilitator and participate in interactive activities that address issues around bullying and cyberbullying. We also got an update from STAR, which we saw in tonight's presentations. But the bulk of the meeting on the 17th was really to review the data that we retrieved from our staff surveys distributed earlier this year to learn from our teachers the extent to which race and social justice are addressed in our schools. And there was a lot of really great discussion that we had around some key questions. We met in small groups, and then we also had a really lively whole group discussion with the intent of coming up with some actionable next steps. In terms of what I got out of it, in terms of next steps, it sounds like teachers really want some support around both gaining comfort and just an overall feeling of being supported to teach content around race and social justice. I also noticed that there was a need to provide professional development around what that content should be, like the specific content. So I felt overall that these were the two main areas in which we can begin to take some action. So providing professional development and allowing for some kind of systematic support for teachers. My biggest concern that I saw was from the data that indicated there were no problems at all, or that some felt that there was a sense that there was no desire to address any of these issues. So we will continue to explore how to address this level of sentiment at the district. Our next meeting is this Wednesday, March 3rd at 3 p.m., and that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Berks County IU, Dr. Kennedy.
I want to point out one aspect from the IU meeting last week. The IU is participating with the Berks County Commission on Legislative Action in targeted advocacy campaign, and they chose two aspects of education that they're really going to hit the Pennsylvania legislature with. And the first one is unfunded special education costs, and the amount that this cost of educating our special needs students has risen so much in the past few years, and the support from the state and from the federal government has not risen at all. And there's a real need around the county to do that. The second one is also very close to my heart. They are advocating for charter school reform, especially in the area of cyber charter tuition and the unfair funding formula that exists right now. The numbers are really just absolutely eye-opening, the money that local districts are paying to these cyber charter schools. And the way that they're run and the way that they're funded is just very unfair to the districts. And a lot of the schools are taking advantage of the special education funding that is available for these cyber charter schools. And the performance is just not there. And I'm really excited about the advocacy that's going on right now, and the districts working together with the IU to get the word out on those two areas.
Thank you. Curriculum Committee.
Curriculum. Well, I'd like to say it was a short meeting, but that would be a big fat lie. Not even close. But it was a great meeting. It was totally worth it. We had an update on what's going on in our physical education classes. Just a reminder about Building Bulldogs. It's still happening, albeit virtually. So if you know a future Bulldog, especially some of those future Bulldogs who opted to not come to school this year, there's going to be a lot of them next year. There still is Building Bulldogs. There was just information in our Bulldog Blitz, and there's information on the website if you want to get involved with that. We had an update on summer school for both credits that need to be made up as well as credits that students will take for the first time. And we will be continuing summer school this year. We talked a bit about preschool curriculum. We did talk about our need for English language learner teachers. We used to call them ESL teachers, now we call them ELL teachers. And the growth in the district in that population is huge. And right now what we have in the district is not sustainable. So we are recommending that the district look to getting more resources, more teachers out there in our schools, because there's just a huge need for that. And we had an update on the secondary ed that we talked a little bit about last time, the program of studies. And I believe that's coming out.
It's been released, so the scheduling process is occurring now.
It's out there. All right. It was a great meeting. That's it.
The projection for the summer school to be in person or online or?
We did talk about that. We talked about the importance of trying to get it in person if possible. And with the numbers of summer school and the fact that they're smaller numbers,
Sure, yeah.
and we have a huge building,
Yeah.
Having a student that is struggling online, do think it's at all humanly possible that we would love to get those kiddos in person.
But I think it was presented in a way that the option would still exist.
Yes.
If they wanted to do it virtually, they could.
In some places, if there's only one or two kids that need to make up a class, they won't be able to afford to have an in-person teacher. They would have to do it through the Wilson Virtual Academy. But I think everyone in the room came to the conclusion that if we could do it in person, that would be the optimal thing to do. It's a good question.
The only other thing that you missed was we had a presentation that made me hopeful about a trip to Germany and Switzerland.
I didn't bring that up because I was afraid.
And so it gave me great hope that maybe we'll be going places soon.
But tell them when the date was for the trip.
2022. Hey, I'm just being optimistic here.
Trying to knock on a lot of wood.
Thank you. Berks CIT, Mrs. Schlossman. Extracurricular, Mrs. Cocker.
Our next meeting is next Monday, March 8th at noon in the admin building.
Great, thank you. Facilities, Mr. Negrini.
We are holding a workshop a week from tonight to discuss the feasibility project and some potential work to be done at the high school campus. So looking forward to that meeting next week.
Great, thank you. Finance, is there a report from Finance for Mr. Martin?
There is no report. We rescheduled Finance from today to next Monday at 4:30. Mr. Martin could not be here this evening. He is in Florida with family and some health issues.
Thank you. Human Resources, our next meeting is next Wednesday at noon. Legislative, Mr. Martin's not here. Is there a report? Okay. Public Relations, Mrs. Troutman.
Thank you. I just have a couple of good news items I wanted to share with all of you. We want to congratulate the students in Wilson High School's chapter of Technology Student Association who competed in the first ever fully remote regional conference this past Saturday. Our students did extremely well considering the change in the format and the obstacles presented by the school year. We're going to be sharing the full results of the competition in this week's Bulldog Blitz, but I wanted to publicly recognize the students who took home first place honors, and there's quite a few, which is exciting. Biotechnology Design, Anisha Argawal, Santita Busari, Kayla Marr, and Colby Snyder. First place in CAD Engineering was Cole Shimoleski. First place in Essays on Technology was Colby Snyder. First place in Future Technology and Engineering Teacher was Cole Shimoleski. And then first place in Photographic Technology was Sanchita Busari. So congratulations to those students and all the students who placed in the competition this year. We also want to take a moment to thank our Technology Student Association advisors who do a phenomenal job with our students. That would be Ryan Dennis, David Dunkelberger, Mike Fitzgerald, and Karen Moore. Again, they are just huge supporters of our students. We're also very excited to announce that our rifle team members, Megan Cowlick, Austin Zeri, and Jonathan Harashak, made the All-Star team. This is the first time in Wilson's history that we ever had any students make the All-Star team. So that was very exciting. So we wanted to share that with all of you, and we celebrated that in district communications as well. And it is Read Across America Week, just kicked off today. So our elementary buildings are celebrating this week with Spirit Days and all kinds of great activities. And we have a special treat because Dr. Fadley worked with our media department, and they produced a video of him reading his favorite book, children's book. So tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., it's going to post on social media. So be sure that you check that out because it's really fun. He did a great job. And then we'll also probably post that this week in the Bulldog Blitz so that our entire community can hear a story from Dr. Fadley. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bear snores on. And Skippy John Jones.
Education Foundation, Mr. Case.
Yes, thank you. Everybody save the date and mark your calendars for Saturday, September 25th for the next Wilson Education Foundation 2021 Bash at First Energy Stadium. It's a long ways away. If everyone remembers, last year was a great celebration with Dr. Rudy Ruth and Corey Luft and Jeremy Giza. And the WEF will have another great celebration, so I'm looking forward to, the people that are going to be involved with that. The Spring 2021 Venture Grants were awarded, and recipients were notified last week. 6 grants totaling more than $2,500 will be given out across 5 buildings this spring, and over 200 students will be impacted by this funding. So at our next meeting, we'll learn more about that. The Education Foundation looks forward to continuing their support for the Wilson School District with any needs and/or events planned for students, including the graduating class of 2021. And they are hopeful to start planning for a community fundraising event for late summer 2021. More information to come, and the next foundation meeting is March 26th at 7:30 a.m. Thanks.
Thank you. Technology, Mr. Schneider.
I have no report. Our next meeting is April 6th.
Great. Student Outreach, Mr. Johnny Clark.
Unithon is hosting a fundraiser at Isaacs on March 5th. Mental Health Council is hosting a blanket drive. Donations of new and slightly used blankets will be donated to the Texas Warrior Relief. Donations can be dropped off at the Upper House or Lower House Nurse's Office. Wilson's Lit Mag is hosting a contest until March 15th. Students can submit artwork, poems, short stories, personal narratives, or photography that may earn a prize of $15. All the submissions will be entered for publication in the literary magazine. Congratulations to our Wilson High School boys basketball team on winning the BCIAA championships Friday, February 26th. Congratulations to the boys bowling team for winning the BCIAA team title. In addition to the team win, Adam Garrett also won the boys bowling individual championships.
Thank you. Mr. Moravich, we have no participation? Okay. Any other business before the board? Looking for a motion to adjourn. Mr. McCray first. Do we have a second? Mr. Case?